Good day, everybody, and welcome to 20 Minutes on Ice, powered by the Garage Door Sports Network. I'm your host, Ryan, and as always with me is my co-host, Nick. We've got another fantastic show coming right up for you, so let's get to our opening face-off. Today on 20 Minutes on Ice, we're going to be talking about the NHL and Turner Sports 7-year broadcasting deal that starts next season. Plus, we'll be talking about several players that have been injured and out for the season or retiring for the season. And there's lots of women's hockey news as well that we'll be getting into. And then, of course, we have all our regular segments such as Players of the Week, 3 Hot, 3 Not. And then we close it out with the Randomizer. But first, joining me is Canada's #1 consumer of Welch's fruit snacks, Nick McVicker. Nick, how you doing this week?
Pretty good, buddy. Pretty good. And yeah, that's a throwback to our AK days, my friend.
Time working. Are you still a fan of the Welch's fruit snacks?
Still a fan. Haven't had many recently, but still definitely a fan.
It's the only reason you have a Costco membership, right?
I don't even have a Costco membership. Are you kidding me? I'd love a Costco membership for those things.
Just
That'd be awesome.
walking
but I don't
in there
have
with
one, unfortunately.
a few boxes of Welch's, and you're set for,
Just give me the skid.
that'll hold you for a weekend. So
2 weeks.
I found there was a lot of news this week. Couldn't even get into it in the opening points there, but a lot going on this week. First off, to start us off, Seattle Kraken, they're paid their
officially official now.
It's officially official, and they've paid all of their $650 million. They found that laying in an attic somewhere, but they are now they're officially in the NHL. They're able to sign players or trade players. Any chance we see a signing or a trade before the expansion draft?
Signing?
Anything.
Probably.
A transaction.
Probably a signing. A trade, I don't think so, but I do see signing, like some undrafted OHL or CHL kid or some college kid who has exceeded the 3 years on their draft eligibility who just wants a chance to play guaranteed, and that's really the easiest way to do it is to go to a new team.
Kind of what Vegas did when they came in. They went and signed that Russian player who came over, and I forget his name now. He wore 87, and people were like, oh, he's wearing Crosby's number. And it was more just for the fans signing, like, yes, we have a player. Hang your hat on this player. Yeah, so maybe something like that. I would be shocked this year if there's any trade to have Seattle not pick up a protected player, because teams got burned in the Vegas expansion draft by doing that. So I wouldn't expect to see any of that this year. A couple players who are electing to retire. Andrew Shaw retiring because of multiple concussions. And then Ryan Miller choosing to retire at the end of the season. Just if you had to think of one thought about both players, how would you sum them up?
Shaw is a hard-nosed player who I always remember. I can't remember what playoff it was, but he scored a goal and just had like the happiest reaction because he happened to turn right towards the camera. And that's all I vividly remember of it. And then Ryan Miller is the consummate professional who always looked so upset when playing hockey, but was the happiest person afterwards. Like, he was just always smiles off the ice, but as soon as he got locked in, he was locked in and looked so upset behind his mask always.
I'll always remember Ryan Miller as a Buffalo Sabre in those Buffa Slug jerseys as well. And I'll remember him as the winningest U.S. goaltender in history. So that's what I'll remember about Ryan Miller. Andrew Shaw, there you go.
Ryan Miller?
That's the Ryan Miller on camera. If you're watching us on YouTube, Nick's got a 8x10 framed of Ryan Miller in the Buff Slug jersey. For Andrew Shaw, a playoff performer. That's how I would consider Shaw. He just hard-nosed, gets in there, can put the puck in sometimes. So every team would have a spot on their roster for Andrew Shaw come playoff time.
Yeah. He's a guy that you wanted on your team, did not want to play against.
Exactly. And you would, if you were playing against him, you probably would have cried foul of Andrew Shaw crossing the line, but as soon as he became available, you'd be like, yep, we need that guy. That's a guy.
That's the guy we need. Yep.
Let's switch to the Women's World Championship. Now, when it was canceled a few weeks ago, there was a completely justified uproar because the verbiage was just horrible. They just said, this thing's canceled. Slowly news came out, and now we have news that the event is actually rescheduled for the end of August 20th to the 31st, and it will be in a different Canadian city that is yet to be determined. But this is positive news, and probably the way it should have been handled when it was first canceled or postponed.
Yeah, had they come out and said, listen, we're trying to find a new venue and we will still be putting this event on, I don't think people would have been as upset. But the problem is that they came out and said it was canceled, and that caused the uproar. And that's what we talked about when we talked about it being canceled, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Like, that's just how it is. But they're putting it on. I'm surprised, honestly, that it's in a Canadian city.
But if they're going to do a bubble format, then you can.
Yeah, but still, like, after taking it away from the Canadians, saying that it wasn't going on in one Canadian city, I would have probably just gone to another country and then brought it back to Canada next year.
Logically, the players trained, it should have been hosted with the U18s going on at this time. I think that's logical.
That would have been too many people in the bubble, I think.
It's kind of like I can understand what you're saying, and no reason to really debate it here. This is positive news, but you could kind of have two bubbles operating at the same time, and women's gets this section at this time, U18s get this section at this time. But understandable, it could be too many people, especially because that's a small rink there in Dallas.
It's a logistical nightmare.
I can understand that. Yeah. So, continuing with the women's hockey news, the NWHL has postponed their expansion to Montreal, and instead is going to use the opportunity to double their league-wide salary cap. So it was $150,000 per team. It is now up to $300,000. This is a great move, and I'm wondering now if this entices some of those players that are with the Professional Women's Hockey Association to maybe jump ship and play in the NWHL because there is more money available.
Yeah, there is more money. Is it enough? I still don't think it's enough, in my opinion. But they're taking positive steps forward. Hopefully, if they can continue to grow the cap and continue to grow the league, those NW or the PHWPA players will come back, and they can form one giant league, which would be awesome because we're missing some of the best players from the PHWPA, not in the NWHL. Also, shout out Toronto 6, first year had the MVP of the league. Which is pretty cool. Don't see that very often, but it's good. It's good news coming out of the NWHL. Is it enough? Absolutely not.
No,
but it's good news.
It's good news. Hopefully, they can use this to build some named superstars. Use the money to pay some superstars. If you're on the third and fourth lines, your salary's not changing much. But if you can perform in this league, this opportunity is for you. All right, let's head down south. Miami, Florida, Nick. Two equally good superstars are playing hockey down in Miami, Florida. And I'm talking about Jonathan Huberdeau and Alexander Barkov. Keeping an eye on those.
Now they're equal.
Keeping an eye on those Florida guys. It is time for the Barks and Hubie watch, Nick. Fill us in. What happened this week?
All right, well, let's start off. Florida had a pretty good week. Lots of goals, which was a good thing. Quick shout out to Sam Bennett, the guy who has been written off by many after the whole Calgary fiasco. Put up 7 points this week for Florida. Like, good on you, kid. You're playing well on that second line with Duclair and Huberdeau.
He's got 13 points since joining the Panthers.
Yeah, 7 this week, 6 last week. Gotta love it.
That's more than he had in his 37 games with Calgary. He had 10 points. He's beaten every stat that he established in 37 games with Calgary. He beat that in 9 games with Florida. Yep. I'll just run it down quickly. Sort of hijack your segment here, Nick.
Wow, hijack.
5 goals with Florida, 4 goals with Calgary, 8 assists with Florida, 6 with Calgary, 13 points with Florida, as we mentioned, 10 with Calgary. He's even beaten his PIMS, 19 in Calgary, 21 in Florida all of a sudden. Is he just more engaged now? And even his average time on ice, now obviously he's performing in Florida, but he's at 8:13 in Florida. Average time on ice was only 13:29 in Calgary. So just a complete turnaround, which is odd and spectacular and weird all at the same time.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to who he's playing with. As I said, he's playing with Huberdeau and Duclair, who are both guys who, A, can put the puck in the net when given the chance, and B, know where to be a little bit better than some of the guys he was playing with. Because in Calgary, he was playing with the second line, who, can you name someone on the Calgary second line?
Matt Stajan still play there?
No. He would have been the center.
I'm sure it's Dylan Dubé or Backlund or whoever they have.
I think
there,
it's Mangiapane right
sure,
now.
yeah. Megapie or whatever.
I'd much rather do Claire and Huberdeau. So I think it's a better situation for him. He's getting the opportunity that he needs, and he's taking it. Hopefully he can continue it into the playoffs. Anyways, back to the actual segment we were supposed to be talking about. It's the Barks and Hubie Watch, and this week, Florida played 4 games. So keep that number in your head as I say these stats. Barkov, 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points in 4 games. He had a 33.3% shooting percentage, and he averaged 19.24 time on ice, and was also 53.3% on the face-off. And he only had 2 points on the power play, so 3 points, even strength, 2 goals, 1 assist, 1 goal, 1 assist on the power play. It's just good stats. Those are what you want to see.
Those are Barkov stats. So
those are Barkov stats.
Yeah, all plus there. All pluses from Barkov. Exactly what
except
you
for
see.
plus minus, ironically, which he was even.
They keep doing that. These two guys, like all of a sudden, you look at their quality stat line, and then you're like, how did you end up -4 this week? And you had 8 points or something.
Yeah, so he was even, but even's not bad. Huberdeau, on the other hand, went 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 4 games, a +3. He was on average time on ice just over 18 minutes at 18:06. He was shooting at a 16.7% clip, Ryan. 4 power play points, which is kind of not like him. Like, they're usually more even strength guys. It's nice to see them putting up points on the power play. 1 goal, 3 assists. He was also a +3. Let's also add that in. +3, +3, which is not Huberdeau. He's usually the even guy. Barkov's the positive guy.
Yeah, that's true. Barkov's the more defensively responsible. I don't know if you saw on Sunday, Chris Drieger, their backup goalie tweeted out images of his new mask that's been painted. Yeah, I guess he might be the third now with Spencer Knight emerging there. But
no, I was saying backup because he's outplayed Bobrovsky this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. But now Spencer Knight, as we mentioned, it's just a thick goaltending situation there in Florida. But
and then there's also the Canadian kid too.
Yeah, I forget his name now
in the system.
Yeah, I know they had both World Junior goalies there, but I want to tie this into Huberdeau because Drieger there got Jonathan Huberdeau in his blue Lamborghini on his mask. Because apparently Huberdeau showed up to camp this year in a light blue Lamborghini.
He did. Yes, he did.
So Drieger has put that on his mask there. But that was the Barks and Hubie Watch for April 26th to May 2nd. As I keep saying, I cannot wait to spotlight these guys in the playoffs. And I really hope that we don't have anyone who falters here. They're great players, so I don't expect them to falter. It's just going to be great to watch them when that spotlight is on them. All right, Nick, we do have to get into this Turner broadcasting deal, so let's fire that up right now. Turner Sports signing the 7-year broadcasting deal, getting that second tier package of the NHL deal. It includes 3 Stanley Cup finals in the 7 years, plus they get to broadcast the Winter Classic each of those years. I would say a lot of this, people might be more caught off guard because Turner is not really thought of as a hockey destination. They're more associated with the South and Atlanta. But I would say the success of the NBA on TNT really eases that blow. And maybe the NHL is kind of banking on that. Perhaps Turner can put together some sort of broadcast team that you can't replicate that, but kind of can drum up the same energy. Do you think Turner can work their magic and we get something like that for the NHL on TNT or whatever it is?
Okay, that's not what the NHL is banking on.
You don't think so?
The NHL is banking on the fact that Turner paid the most money. That's what the NHL is banking on. Unfortunately, that's not the way the business works. But
Nick, if you and I showed up with $500 million a year, I don't think we're getting the broadcast rights because we're not bringing anything to the table.
Well, if we had a legitimate channel, even if it was a smaller, even if it was a smaller channel or smaller feed than Turner, if we came with more money and we had a legitimate channel that was on cable, we would 100% get the rights.
Oh, you think so?
Yep.
I think
Welcome
that's,
to the world of business.
I'm not stupid. I know that money talks, Nick, but if we're only available in, let's say, 40 million homes, and I believe Turner's available on 40 million cable systems, and Turner's available on 90 some odd cable systems, just because we pay more, I don't think we would get NHL rights, because that's in no way beneficial to the league except from a financial standpoint. If you have a lot of money and nobody's watching you, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, I digress. Let's move on. I hope that they can put together a good team, because Turner's done a fantastic job with the NBA. And if you watch NBA, like, you love watching the Turner broadcast. They're great, right? Because it's TNT and it's phenomenal. So hopefully they can put a really good system together. Hopefully they can have a really good crew in studio, like they have for the TNT basketball, because NBA on TNT's basketball team is hilarious. They're awesome. I mean, you can't get much better than having Shaq and Charles yelling at each other.
Now, someone I could see fitting into that role, he's currently on Hockey Night, Kevin Bieksa. I could see him kind of, if they could lure him down with the big contract, he could be the type of personality he could bring his personality to the broadcast. Now, he's not a name like Shaq or Charles or anything like that, so it may not have the same impact, but it may have the same energy.
Yeah, and another guy who's currently playing, and I don't think he's planning on retiring, that has that kind of personality, kind of out energy, is Ryan Reeves. Could you imagine Ryan Reeves on a broadcast? I think he would be just so much fun. Like, I don't know how much his hockey knowledge would translate to a broadcast, but just the energy, the personality, he would be awesome. But yeah, if they could put together a good system, it would be fantastic for the game. And I heard a funny joke this week that the NHL's two broadcast teams are based in, because it's ESPN. Where's ESPN based, Ryan?
Aren't they Florida?
No.
I don't know where ESPN is based out of.
Hold on, I'm going to look it up, but I was laughing because I thought it was hilarious.
Because they're owned by Disney, so that's the only reason I'm assuming they're based out of Florida or California.
They're based in Bristol, Connecticut, which is around the corner from where?
New York?
Hartford,
okay, sorry.
So one of them is located around the corner from Hartford. The other one is now located in Atlanta.
Two hockey hotbeds where hockey thrived.
So it's funny. Like, that's a little joke, but hopefully both of them do a great job, because that would be the goal. If we can get both of them to have good broadcast going consistently, that's a positive for everyone involved in the league.
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal, obviously. If we're looking at this in 7 years, when the contract's up, and you have to make a decision, in your gut, where do you think this ends up? How would you rate the job that Turner's going to do? And the options are bad, not bad, or excellent. How do you think Turner's going to do in the next 7 years?
That's a huge jump between not bad and excellent.
I could say good, but so look at sport. I'm going to give an example. Look at sports now. I believe they're in year 7, maybe, of a 12-year contract, 6 or 7 right now. And I wouldn't say they're bad. I wouldn't say they're good. So they're not bad is where I'd put Sportsnet in their current position.
I would say Sportsnet's good. Like, in my opinion, I would say Sportsnet's good, not great, not excellent, not bad, not terrible.
That's like, it may be the age difference. We may want different things in our hockey broadcast there, Nick. So maybe that's why I put them at not bad and you put them at good. Where do you really think how this is going to play out, and how do you think you'll rate Turner in 7 years?
Above average.
So
that's the goal. I believe that's where I will. I don't think they will be excellent, just because it's not the same as the NBA. Like, the NBA, they have the personalities. Unless they can come up with a team immediately, the first couple years might be rocky. But I think they're going to put on a good show. I think they're going to have good camera angles and all that might not be used by Rogers and stuff like that, just because they try to push stuff on TNT. I know that. They want to push stuff on Turner. So hopefully they can come up with something like that furthers the broadcast, makes it a little bit better. I don't know what it's going to be, but that's the goal, I think, in my head.
Now, okay, if we're looking at, we didn't do this for ESPN, so just a quick thought on where you think ESPN will be, because I'm thinking ESPN will be excellent. That to me, yeah. ESPN's a win-win. It's going to be excellent. You'd put ESPN in the same boat?
Yeah, I'd put ESPN ahead of Turner. I think Turner will be below ESPN, but who knows? Maybe 7 years from now, we're talking about it being completely opposite. And Turner absolutely killed it, and ESPN, just because they thought they were going to do good, ended up just being,
Yeah.
It's a broadcast.
One thing I am concerned is that, like, you always saw stuff on NBC. Like, for instance, this past weekend was Kentucky Derby weekend. And there's the infamous incident where an NHL playoff game was going into double overtime and it got bumped to, a secondary network so that the NBC Sports Network or NBC Sports could show the Kentucky Derby. I feel like we could run into the same situation with the NHL playoffs on TNT and the NBA playoffs on TNT, where the NHL is going to get pushed back in that situation.
Yeah, they will.
And I hope it doesn't happen when the finals are
on. I think the finals for the two are usually staggered. I think the NHL finals, one of them is like a week after.
Yeah, the NBA
it's just the way it's scheduled. One of them is always a week after.
The NBA is a week after, but when it comes to what days they want, the NBA is going to get first choice. Whereas currently the NHL loves to go on Monday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays for the final. If they had their choice, they would keep going.
And usually the NBA goes Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday anyway.
Okay, so that just
they're usually off. They're usually off days anyway. They're not scheduled at the same time, but it's also a week later, so we shouldn't really have a huge issue.
Now, 2 networks in the U.S., and the U.S. is massive. 330 some odd million people live there, so you need 2 networks to get full coverage of your league. In Canada, we have 10% of that population, but we have just as much interest in hockey as America does altogether. Do you see a situation where a 2-network setup could work in Canada?
I mean, it kind of does.
Yeah, but TSN's just considered a regional broadcaster. Now they currently present themselves as a national because they send out the same commentator to all their games, to all the games. So
yeah, I mean, it can work. It could work, and it probably would work if they wanted to, but those two will never work together, so it will never happen in Canada.
I'm not asking them to work together. I'm just saying if Sportsnet had the national package, so they get the Wednesday night Canadian game and they get the Saturday night Canadian game and they get the doubleheader. If TSN is the second network to come in there, do you think they would take the Pittsburgh-Washington matchups? Do you think they would take, whatever, Rangers and Philly and all those secondary matchups that won't be as lucrative in the Canadian market, but it's still live hockey content?
Maybe. I'm not 100% sold on it, but it's possible. It could work. It could work. I just don't see it working.
Fair enough. And that's probably why we currently don't have a 2-network Canadian deal. It's 1 network, and that's what you get. So we will be coming right back with news that broke on Saturday, and it's not positive for the Vancouver Canucks. We'll be right back here on 20 Minutes on Ice.
Hey guys, it's producer Jake here from Betting House, the Garage Door Sports Network's ultimate degenerate gambling podcast. Catch our episodes weekly on Apple, Spotify, and Google as we bring you banter, laughter, and of course picks for all sorts of games throughout the week. Give us a follow on our socials at BettingHousePod, where you can catch all our bets each week, as well as some bonus content. Remember to always gamble responsibly. Let's get rich.
20 Minutes on Ice. We're back. Ryan Haslett, Nick McVicker. Nick, just negative news coming out of Vancouver. We have some allegations against Jake Virtanen. He's been placed on leave. So I will read the official statement that the Vancouver Canucks put out, and then we'll tread lightly from there. But the Vancouver Canucks wrote, "We have become aware of the concerning allegations made about Jake Virtanen. Our organization does not accept sexual misconduct of any kind, and the claims, as reported, are being treated very seriously by us. We have engaged external expertise to assist in an independent investigation, and we have placed the player on leave as we wait for more information." Serious allegations, obviously.
Stemming from 2017, let's also make that has to be added in. They are stemming from 2017.
Yeah.
It's not a recent during pandemic allegation, because that would be that would just add to the fuel to the fire of the Jake Virtanen.
Yeah.
But
And there are allegations at this point, but the Vancouver Canucks obviously believe it's serious enough without making any judgments to place this player on leave, take him away from the team situation. And as a player, not looking at his outside activities, as a player, when, the Vancouver Canucks are probably happy to move on from Jake Virtanen at this point, considering both his play and whatever may be going on externally.
I mean, I don't know about that, and I won't comment on whether or not the Canucks might be ready to move on from him. I think the Canucks handled the situation exactly how all professional teams should handle the situation. And I'm tired of teams holding on to players and saying, oh, we're waiting for the verdict. No. If there is an allegation, this person should not be allowed to play, right? They should be placed on leave and they should not be with the team. I know it sounds crazy, but just hear me out, right? Because a lot of the time, especially in the past, these allegations would come up and players would just play, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 months later, when all the legal shtickum is done, it's found out that the allegations were true. And then you've just had this player around other people still being in the spotlight, in the public eye for another 5 or 6 months when they didn't need to be. You give them a step away. You separate them from the team temporarily. And if it's proven that nothing happened, then you welcome them back to the team and say, listen, we did that because we needed to make sure that you are the person that you say you are and that these allegations aren't true. That's how it should be, and that's why I think the Blue Jays did it right with the Roberto Osuna allegations when they came out. I know that was a few years ago now, but I'm using that because that was a good example. They took him away from the team. That's the way it should be, I think, in my opinion.
To play devil's advocate, you could have a few situations here. Before a big game, before a big series.
Don't care.
No, I know you're looking at it from that point of view. What if it's concocted that, hey, if we throw some allegations, if there's someone, it doesn't even have to be the opposing team, drumming up something. It could just be a group of fans who are like, hey, we like the Calgary Flames, and they're about to go into a 7-game series with the Canucks. If we get together and, get some allegations going against John Smith, if it's the automatic rule that he has to come out when there's allegations, we've taken John Smith out of the lineup because.
Right. And I understand what you're saying there, but I would say they have to be legitimate allegations. Like, these sound like legitimate allegations. Allegations that are just concocted and thrown into the news, those aren't legitimate allegations to me.
Okay, hold on.
Why
you're saying legitimate, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate. You're saying legitimate. You've already made a choice that these are legitimate.
But hold on. By legitimate, I mean it's not concocted and thrown into the newspaper. These are being taken either to the police, or there is a legal, a lawyer is bringing them forward. It's not just coming out from the people like you're saying in your scenario, right? Legitimate or not, if you go to a lawyer, if you're going to the police, those need to be taken more seriously than if someone writes a news story and says this person allegedly did this, because that's a bunch of crap. Unless you have a legal source like the police or a lawyer involved, it's not, in my eyes, the allegations become less legitimate without those things. So yes, that's what I meant.
Yeah, someone could still someone could still get a lawyer involved, not the police,
right?
And fabricate something that can happen.
And that's a different situation.
Yeah, we're not saying that has happened.
I appreciate you giving me a chance to explain myself.
Yeah,
Ryan. I really do appreciate that.
But I agree that there's obviously, it sounds as an opinion, it sounds like there's something here. I have no knowledge of the situation except for what I have read on ESPN.com and the statement that the Canucks put out. But it sounds like there's something here, and I agree with the Canucks to take this player out of the team environment and conduct their own investigation. Now, if you have a situation where you said that player automatically has to come out after allegations, serious, and as you said, legitimate allegations are placed against this player, he has to come out. If it's found that these allegations, as the situation I'm bringing up, are fraudulent, and you've taken him out of the team situation, for 3-4 months or however long it takes, he or she may have grounds to come back and say, you've hindered my career by not letting me be with a professional environment, not letting me train with a professional team. And there may be a lawsuit issue there. So I'm not saying that could or is likely to happen here. I'm saying it could happen. I'm not saying it's likely to happen here.
Let's make it very clear though. He's still getting paid.
He is getting paid. Yeah. He's getting out. So I'm not crying for him. I'm actually not defending him. I'm just trying to bring up some other situations.
But they're technically paying him, is what I'm saying. They put him on leave.
Yeah.
He can't really come back. He can't really come back and say anything because he's still getting paid. If he was not getting paid, absolutely he can come back and sue the team.
But
because he's getting paid and it's in their contract that they cannot breach sexual misconduct.
Yeah.
He can't come say anything. You can't say anything at that point.
So you would need, this is obviously would need to be collective in the collective bargaining agreement with the PA. But I'm saying
I think it already is.
Then
it has to be because they have a sexual misconduct policy in the NHL.
Yeah. I'm talking about when allegations are made. If he's found to be guilty of these allegations, which we don't know, he could or could not be, then yes, the punishment and how it should be treated is probably laid out in the CBA. At this point, we don't know anything except for these are allegations. Correct. And how each team deals with those allegations is up to each team on a team-by-team basis. So obviously, the Canucks think there's enough here. They believe there's enough here to take Virtanen out of the team situation.
Right.
And they've done that. So, we know where the Canucks go from here. They've taken him out of the team situation. And if he's found to be guilty of these allegations, they'll terminate his contract or however the CBA says this should be dealt with. Where does Jake Virtanen go at this point? If you speculate if this is found to be fraudulent allegations or no base to these allegations, can he come back to the Canucks?
He can. Will he want to? I would say maybe not.
Yeah, I would think his days.
I think it might be
Canucks
hard just to be in Vancouver.
Yeah, and maybe even Vancouver would just try and find a way to move on from him at this point.
It's possible. I would say the Canucks wouldn't be as quick to just move on from him because after this they would want to show that they're in support of the player after a fraudulent allegations. But I would think that he might not want to play in Vancouver anymore just because this is where all the allegations are coming from. He might just want to get out of the city. So that's where it becomes. And that again, this is if these are fraudulent allegations. If they're not fraudulent allegations, do we see him ever again in the NHL?
I would have to say no, and that goes for almost anybody. There's probably a few players where a team would attempt to rehabilitate that player, and that's just being selfish.
Unfortunately, we've seen it before.
Yeah, that's just selfish and greedy, based on stats, and that's the only reason they bring that player back. So, we mentioned how positive the NWHL news was at the beginning of the program. And this is just negative news and not what anyone needs right now. Like the Canucks don't need this. Nobody needs this. This is horrible news, and we'll see where it goes from here. But I think either way, however it pans out, Jake Virtanen's probably played his last game for the Vancouver Canucks. Anyways, at this point, is my opinion and guess.
It's possible. I don't know yet, but it's possible.
We'll see where this goes. We will be coming right back here on 20 Minutes with our players of the week. This is 20 Minutes on Ice. Ryan Haslett, Nick McVicker, and Nick, it is now time for the players of the week. For the week of April 26th to May 2nd, Nick, let's start with the rookies this week.
The young guns.
The young guns. And for the Calder anyway, for Rookie of the Year, it's a two-horse race at this point. But neither of those guys showed up on the radar for me, Kaprizov or Robertson in Dallas. But you know what? I'll let you go first on Rookie of the Week because I do want to highlight someone that's not on the radar, but someone I did want to talk about. So you.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll get started. And my Rookie of the Week is Arizona Coyote Michael Bunting. This is a guy that we haven't talked about yet this year, but he's been playing pretty well this week. Can't really complain about his stats. Are you ready for this, Ryan? 4 games, 3 points, 2 goals, and an assist. He was a +1. He's averaging 16.59 on ice this week as a rookie. He was shooting at a 66.7% clip, which means he scored 2 goals on 3 shots. And all 3 points were even strength. This is a guy who is kind of under the radar a little bit because he plays in Arizona, but he had the most goals by let me correct this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He was 7th on the Arizona Coyotes most goals in a month by a rookie in the month of April. That's not bad for a rookie.
He is a 25-year-old rookie. So, I'm not putting him down, but he's taken this long to get to the show. He's had a good week. Fantastic for him. He wouldn't ever be on my radar, and that's because he's playing for the Coyotes. Anybody who's playing for the Coyotes is not flashing in my brain as, hey, take a look at me, because they're the most.
You don't want to see the Keller experience.
No, that's not even something that's gonna catch my attention there. Not even close. So, but I'm not gonna put down the players' week. Baby Bunting here had a nice week. He's had 9 goals on the season, 17 games. And he's playing in the NHL. Good for him.
And, ready for this? He's worked his way onto the Coyotes' top line. So he's playing with Keller right now.
Excellent.
As a rookie. That's not bad. That's good for him.
Yep. And Arizona's got a bit of work ahead of them because they're now trailing St. Louis, who's had a very hot week, and they may show up later in the show. So Arizona, pardon me, it's my age. I keep wanting to call them Phoenix. They'll always be the Phoenix Coyotes.
You said Arizona, though. You got it right.
I have to force myself to say Arizona.
But you said it. You were fine. You could have got away with it.
All right, for my pick, I'm ragging on you for choosing a Coyote here, Nick. But for my pick, you can rag on me. It's a bit of a homer pick, but I wanted to highlight Adam Brooks from the Toronto Maple Leafs, and so he had 2 goals in 3 games this week. And the reason I'm highlighting him is because it was a slower rookie week, but he is playing on the Leafs' 4th line. But I believe that he's played well enough to cement his position in that lineup going forward into the playoffs. And Nick, you and I were actually chatting about the Leafs lineup heading into the playoffs last night. And there is some debate. You could find some debate amongst Leafs fans whether or not Adam Brooks stays in the lineup for the playoffs. But like I mentioned, 2 goals in 3 games. Both of them were even strength, and 2 goals on 4 shots. So that's a 50% shooting percentage, playing between Joe Thornton and Jason Spezza. And I would love to see him continue to get that shot once the playoffs roll around.
Listen, that has to be a homer pick. I'm sorry, Ryan. I have to call you out on it. It's a homer pick because he was below every single stat that I said for Bunting. You just absolutely ripped on my Bunting one. I'm going to rip on that because he only got 2 points. There was 9 other players ahead of him with 3 or more points, and you decided to go with Brooks because you watched him play all 3 games.
To clarify, I ripped on Bunting not because of his stats, but because who he plays for. It's like,
I don't care.
I don't care. Throwing a party because you painted your room beige. Like, no one cares. That's the Arizona Coyotes.
They are fighting for a playoff spot.
That's cute. Way to go, Arizona. All right, Nick. You know what?
Tired of your crap.
This is not a homer pick. We're going with goalie of the week. You lead us off on this one.
Yeah, well, this is definitely not a homer pick for either of my teams because it's a former goalie from one of my teams, which makes me that much more upset that he couldn't do it in Colorado. But we've already brought him up many times. Semyon Varlamov is back in the goaltender of the week category. He played 2 games, Ryan. He gave up a grand total of 0 goals.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry. I was.
0 goals.
I threw up
a
the
1,000 save percentage.
Yeah, he was perfect.
On 2 shutouts. It's beautiful. You love it. We want to see more of it.
And he only had to make 53 saves in those 2 games.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you play behind the Islanders.
Hey,
like 26 shots a game, you're fine.
Those are the circumstances. You take what you get there on the island. And
he didn't even play the full 120 minutes. He was off the ice for 59 seconds.
They must have had an extended...
Lots of delayed penalty.
Some good puck possession there from the Islanders on a delayed penalty. That's how I got that. That's a great pick, Nick. I had Varlamov as my first choice too. And
how'd you say that?
Varlamov. Okay. I'm not even going to get into it. You corrected me before we went on the air.
I jokingly corrected you as I laughed it off earlier.
I am a simple man, Nick. You have to tell me when jokes are happening.
Okay. I'm sorry.
All right. Let's get off Varlamov and talk about Vasil. I've really upset Nick here. This is fantastic. I'm talking about Vasilevsky for my goalie of the week. He went 2-0 this week with 1 shutout, so not as good as your choice. He had 2 goals against in the other game. He did have an apple, so good for Vasilevsky.
That's not true. He had 4 goals against.
He had 4 goals against. I misread my stats, Nick.
He had 2 goals against average. Give you that.
I misinterpreted my stats.
I got you. Don't worry. That's what I'm here for.
Either way, he won both of his games. He had a shutout. He had an assist. 933 save percentage plus Tampa Bay looks like the defending Stanley Cup champions and are scary heading into the playoffs. And Vasilevsky is a cornerstone piece of that right now. So he is my goalie of the week.
I also want to give a quick shout out. Alex Nedeljkovic from Carolina went 2-0 on the week as well. Only gave up 2 goals, and one of the games went into overtime, so he had less than 1 goals against average. Good on the kid.
He's their goalie of the future.
And he had a point. He had an assist.
Nice. He's their goalie of the future there.
He might be the goalie of now, though.
They're ready to move on from Mrazek and Reimer. Reimer's, I don't know if Reimer sees any playoff time here. I don't think so. But
I think it depends on what happens, but
all right, player of the week. I have no choice, but I have to say McDavid for player of the week.
Yeah, he was number 1 on both of our lists.
Yeah, so 4 games, 4 goals, 10 points. Of his 4 goals, 3 of them were even strength, which I always appreciate. Much harder to score even strength than on the power play. Of his 10 points, 7 of them were also even strength. He had a game-winning goal. He is the clear winner of the Hart Trophy and a chance at 100 points in a 56-game season. Connor McDavid, player of the week, undeniable, undisputed, unquestioned player of the week, player of the year.
Yeah, and he would have been my player of the week as well. I want to make that very clear. He would have been my player of the week, but we can't have the same person. So I switched it up. And I went with Sam Bennett, the guy that we talked about earlier in the show, because he had a great week, as we talked about earlier in the show. 7 points, 4 games, 2 goals, 5 assists, 5 points, even strength, and both of his goals were even strength as well. Those are things that you want to see. He was averaging 18.48 of time on ice this week, and he was winning faceoffs at a 54.4% clip, which, by the way, just in comparison, McDavid, who everyone says is the best centerman in the world, is not very good at faceoffs. He was at 43.5. So Bennett was a full 11 points higher than McDavid in the faceoff dot. I know it's a small stat, but that's something that kind of surprised me. In comparison, Leon Draisaitl was 56.2.
It's amazing that Bennett is so engaged in Florida.
Yeah.
And couldn't get it going in Calgary. It's great to see Sam Bennett kind of finally at that level that, what he's a 3rd or 5th overall pick. This is kind of where you expected him to be, and why he couldn't do that in Calgary. And I'm sure there's reasons that we'll never know why he couldn't, but it's such a drastic change. And it's like, if you perform this way in Calgary, you probably would have been traded earlier, or maybe Calgary finds a way to keep you. But now that he's in Florida, he's getting it done. And again, another weapon for the Panthers. heading into the playoffs. I just talked about Tampa Bay being a scary team. Florida could be a scary team as well, just as scary.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I think Florida might be even scarier because no one expects them. Like Tampa, everyone expects. If Carolina, people are starting to expect more every year, right? Like Florida, no one expects anything from Florida, and yet they're right there.
That first round matchup, 2-3, whoever it is, Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Tampa, Carolina, Florida. It's going to be such a high level series, and they're just going to beat up on each other.
It's the same in the West, right? Like we're saying the same thing in the West with Vegas, Colorado, Minnesota. Like it is going to just be a bloodbath to get out of these two divisions. And yet I think these two could possibly be, hopefully they don't face off in the semis. That would suck. But hopefully these could be the final.
We have seen
Central
this,
versus the West.
We have seen this in the past, though, before, where one conference beats each other up, and by the time they get to the final, the East hasn't, or whatever, the other conference hasn't beat itself up. So
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
it is usually the
you
East.
may see the same thing here, where one of those teams from those two divisions gets to the semis, get to the finals, and they just don't have whatever left in the tank because it was a 15-round heavyweight fight just to get to that point.
I'd still much rather see a West versus Central final than a North versus East final.
Come on, jump on the North bandwagon, Nick. You're Canadian. Enjoy the...
Unless it's Toronto versus Boston in the final, I have zero interest in a North versus East final.
I know Boston's fourth currently in their division right now.
Yes.
But I could just see that, like, if one team's coming out of that East division...
They have Rask.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they're playing like the Boston Bruins always play, an organized, well-executed system. And all of a sudden, if the Leafs finally win a playoff round and happen to get out of their division, it could be the Boston Bruins waiting there.
They have a game in hand on Washington and the Islanders, and they're 3 points behind Washington and a point behind the Islanders. Like, there's a very realistic chance they could be within 1 point of the second place in the division by the time they make up that game.
They're heating up at the right time.
And they're 8-2-0 on their last 10, Ryan.
It's Boston, man. That's what they do. All right, Nick. Seeing as we are talking about teams right now, let's get into 3 hot, 3 not. All right, we always start off.
What was that?
That was the Fire song. 3 hot, 3 not. You see how that kind of works there?
I've never heard that. I don't remember this. What is this?
We played that last week, Nick. But
Did we?
Thanks for being a part of the show. Anyways, I will be the negative person here. I have the not teams this week. So here
Are you sure?
100%. We played that last week. Here we go. My 3 not hot teams. I'll start with number 3. The Winnipeg Jets. Wheels are falling off here. They had a chance to be the second place team in the North Division. They had a chance to be the first place team, and their whole losing streak started by losing 2 in a row to the Leafs. And they had a chance to be that second place team, and they went ahead and lost games to Edmonton. So they were 0-3-0 this past week. In those 3 games, they had 5 goals for, and in the 3 games, they had 14 goals against. As we always say, recipe not for success. 20% on the power play, sure, whatever. It doesn't matter because they were only 42.9% on the PK for the week of April 26th to May 2nd. So they will probably finish.
That's why Edmonton was at 33%. Okay, I got
there you go. But, I mean, you're going to play Edmonton in the playoffs. You're going to need to shut down that power play. You got to have a penalty kill in the playoffs. And they're probably going to finish 3rd in the division now. And
maybe. Hold on, maybe.
Oh, you think
Montreal is within a point?
We'll see. I don't see Montreal being that quality of a team.
Or sorry, 2 points. 2 points. Let me correct that.
I don't see Montreal being that quality of a team, but we'll see. And if they get to Game 7 against Edmonton and it's in Edmonton, you can look at this past week and have it's your own doing. It's your own doing.
Yeah. The only solace that Winnipeg has is the fact that they have Connor Hellebuck in their net. That's literally the only thing that has kept them going pretty much all season.
He just same with Carey Price. Just has to get hot, and you never know what can happen with those teams.
Exactly.
Now, there's another team that could have slotted in here, and they're not my official pick. I wanted to make note of them, but they've turned the page, and it's the Buffalo Sabres. So I did not include them on my
They turned a
three.
page. Which page did they turn? Did I miss this?
They're having fun now, Nick. They're smiling. I mean,
They're
they
still 0-3.
still went 0-3. I couldn't do it to them. Now I feel sorry for them. Before it was like, you deserve to be on here. They've been beaten down. They've been shoved in the mud. They've probably been crapped on. It's enough of picking on the Buffalo Sabres. So my number 2 team is the Philadelphia Flyers, who also went 0-3-0 and played themselves right out of playoff contention. They are officially eliminated. 8 goals in the 3 games, 15 against in the 3 games. They averaged 5 against this past week, 16.7% on the power play, only 50% on the PK. These are all horrible stats. And in the past week, they only generated 22.3 shots on goal per game. Philadelphia Flyers, number 2 not hot team.
Yeah, listen, when you're a negative 42 for goal differential on the season, something's not right. Ryan, if I told you one goalie was leading the Philadelphia Flyers in save percentage and goals against average this year, who would you say it would be?
At the beginning of the year, I would have said Carter Hart. I was predicting him for a superstar breakout season.
Yeah, who is it now?
I guess naturally my next guess is Elliott, but you're going to give me a surprise player here.
No, it's Elliott at 890 save percentage and 302 goals against average.
Oh, yuck.
But he has 2 shutouts.
Oh, all right. All right. Those are, you're telling me like 1986 stats there. Like if a goalie had those in 86, you'd be like, not bad. I bet we can win a few games with that.
Carter Hart's stats are 877 save percentage and 367 goals against.
Yeah, it was a baloney year for him, and hopefully
It's not good. Not good enough.
he hopefully comes back next year. I'm still counting on him to be a superstar goalie. Philly needs it. So my number one not hot team this week, and they certainly were not hot, but I kind of feel bad putting them here. Vancouver Canucks, 0-4-0. I don't think anyone's expecting anything from them except losses at this point, and they're providing those 0-4-0, as I mentioned. 6 goals in the 4 games, 17 against in those 4 games. And they had 2 against Toronto, and they also played Ottawa, so I managed to see them 3 times this past week on TV. They just look like a team that's out of gas. They're losing those 50-50 battles. They can't move the puck quickly. They're not a super talented team. Pedersen's out of their lineup. So 16.7% on the power play. They did manage to go 100% on the PK. But
Hey, positive.
again, just like...
And they won 55% of their faceoffs.
Oh, there you go. Well, they didn't win a damn game, Nick. Not a damn game this past week.
I tried.
You try. Vancouver, feel sorry for you, but here
That's what happens. That's what happens when a team gets shut down for a month and you expect them to jump right back into gameplay. Like,
okay, this is something we discussed
a couple nice ones. But.
A week or 2 ago. We discussed, does Vancouver finish their schedule? Here we are. Vancouver is where they are. Calgary is where they are. They have 3 games at the end of the year. At this point, do you still believe those games are played?
Yes, because they have to because of where the draft picks are.
You're absolutely right. I'm on board
That's
with
the
that,
issue.
Nick. I'm on board with that, Nick.
But I'm still convinced that the playoffs should start
Before
when all the other teams are done. And
So-
just have these guys play an afternoon game.
How would you watch that? Who's watching that?
I mean, I'm not working, so I might watch it. Because it's just something to have on TV because I'm tired of watching nothing.
Can you imagine if it's Colorado and Minnesota have game 3 that night, and just before you can tune in and catch Vancouver and Calgary finish up their
I
season?
probably again if it's like a 3:00 game, I might do that just because A, I'm bored, and B, there's nothing else on TV, and it's hockey. Like, let's not forget, Ryan, we are hockey people. Well, I like hockey. If you're gonna give me more opportunities to watch a game that I like to watch, I probably will take it. And there's a bunch of good players on Vancouver that I do like to watch. Like Hughes, love watching Hughes play. Horvat, I like watching Horvat play. Besser, I like watching Besser play. So yeah, I probably would. And I like watching Demko succeed because I think he's going to be a legit stud of a goaltender in this league. And he looked like it at parts of this season, and then COVID happened, and now he's back to average to slightly above average, in my opinion, at the moment because he's tired.
All right, enough with the negativity, Nick. Hit us with the teams that actually succeeded this week.
No more negative Nelly. All right, Ryan. Well, let's start it off with our boys. The Toronto Maple Leafs come in at 3 for me this week. 3 wins in 3 games. We'd like to see that. 13 goals for, 3 against. So a 1 goals against average across 3 games is the big stat for me. We know they score. That was never the issue. It's the 1 goal against that really stood out to me. As we mentioned, 25% on the power play, 80% on the penalty kill.
That scares me.
It worries me.
Yeah.
It worries me when we play Edmonton.
It's the one.
It doesn't really worry me against Montreal.
No, not
or
in the
Winnipeg.
first. Not in the first round. It may be able to be swept under the rug in the first round, but
hidden.
if you want to succeed in the playoffs, that has to be better. And at this point, as we record, I think they have 6 games left in the season. How do you say you can get better in 6 games and sustain it? So that's the worrisome thing for the Leafs here, but not
25% on the power play means that they finally figured that out a little bit.
A little bit.
Another little concerning stat for me, and again, this is a great week, so I'm nitpicking here. They only won 39.9% of their draws.
So this is where stats can be used to, get whatever information you want. In a week where maybe they went 0-3, 1-2, you're looking at that.
That's what I'm saying. Factor. It's a concerning thing depending on who you're playing in the week. Like if we're playing Vancouver and Ottawa, losing 60% of the draws, I really don't care. But if you're playing Edmonton, or when we get further in the playoffs, you're playing a Vegas or a Colorado, you don't want to give those teams, especially guys like McDavid or McKinnon, extra time on the puck. So the face-off number is a eye-opening one. It's something to look at, but it's not an overly concerning based on who they played this week, is what I was trying to say. So.
And if you're coming up with some other teams that I potentially see here, no one has exciting face-off numbers. So maybe perhaps this week.
I was just using that as an example because it worries me giving good players an extra opportunity. I'm not saying that the other teams are blowing people out of the water, and who knows, the Leafs could figure it out before the playoffs, and this could become a moot point. It's just something that I want to watch down the stretch and see if it changes, because 39.9% was the lowest mark in the league, I'm pretty sure.
Seems pretty this week. All right, good start. I like that you included the Leafs. I didn't call you a homer like you called me on the Adam Brooks pick, but
it's a little harder to call me a homer because they went undefeated this week.
Who's your number 2?
Just like, oh no, they didn't go undefeated. But the next team is the St. Louis Blues. They were 3-0-1 in 4 games, so they did lose a game, and 16 goals for, 12 against, so averaged 4 goals for. Per game, 3 goals against per game. But listen to these numbers, Ryan. 85.7% on the penalty kill. It's a good number. How about 57.1% on the power play, my friend? Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you.
For a team that wasn't scoring at a high clip this week, to me, this looks like a team with experience. Like, okay, it's grind time, and they know how to get it done, and they're getting it done.
Pretty much, and you love to see it heading into the playoffs. Again, their face-off numbers were below 50. That's not as concerning because it was just below 50. The concerning number for St. Louis, because I'm going to give a concerning number for all 3 of the teams that I'm talking about. The concerning number for St. Louis, in my opinion, they were getting outshot this week. They averaged 26 shots per game, but they gave up 32.3, and that's concerning when you get to the playoffs, especially in that division where if they make the playoffs, they're either going to play Colorado or Vegas in the first round. Yeah, you can't really be giving those guys opportunities to shoot the puck. That's just not advised.
And you sent me something about Binnington. I'm just, he's trying to fight Talbot this past week or something.
He was fighting somebody.
I'm off. I was probably off before. I'm off the Binnington train. No time for this player. Kind of like, almost in like the same category as Brad Marchand, Brendan Gallagher, Matthew Tkachuk. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to acknowledge his success, kind of thing.
I wouldn't put him there.
Well, I just did.
I did anyway.
Who is the hottest team in the league this week, Nick?
So the hottest team in the league is the team that you were going to be very mad that I put in the hottest team of the league category, Ryan, and I'm really sorry about it, but it's the Boston Bruins. They dominated this week, 3-0. I'm going to let you put your headphones on because I got to get through all the stats. 3-0, 14 goals for in 3 games, so that's a 4.67 clip. They gave up 5 goals, so a 1.67 against. They were 28.6% on the power play, a cool 100% on the PK. They averaged 38 shots a game. They gave up 25.3 shots a game. Where was the hole in that? There was no hole in that. They were fantastic.
You said you're going to give a negative stat about every team. I'm going across Boston's line here. I'm like, where's the red flag? Nothing. This is the Boston
There's
Bruins.
no red flag. There's
nothing.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that earlier. There is nothing.
This is the Boston Bruins. Again, I talked about
this
St.
is the
Louis.
Boston we expected at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, like grind time, and all of a sudden Boston's like, got it, playoffs coming up, we'll do our thing. And here they are.
Oh, we're supposed to make the playoffs. Okay, we got this. Don't worry.
You don't worry, but like, if you're one of those teams from the East, I'm not saying, I can't sit here and say that I have confidence that Pittsburgh can beat Boston in a 7-game series. What happens to Washington? If something falters there, Boston's going to wipe the floor with them. This is the Boston Bruins.
Well, this is. There's also a chance that Boston finishes second in the division. Let's not forget that. They're also 2 games behind Pittsburgh. Let's not forget this either. I just want to throw this out there. They're 2 games less played than Pittsburgh.
They have a chance.
5 points behind.
And it's all
so
divisional.
If they win both of those games in hand, and I'm pretty sure. Hold on. Let's look at the schedule. Let's see if they play each other, because that would be just phenomenal.
Because all of a sudden,
ready for this, Ryan?
Please.
So their remaining schedule, they have 2 games against New Jersey, 2 games against New York Rangers, a game against the Islanders, and a game against the Capitals.
And they can smell blood in the water, and they are looking possibly to win the division here. They're looking for home ice in the first round.
There's a chance that they do it. There's a chance that they get home ice.
There's a good chance.
There's a chance that they could get home ice all the way to the final. Depending on who they match up with, who that division matches up with in the semi, like all that fun stuff. But there's a chance, which is crazy.
I don't like the Boston Bruins. Can't fault them, though. They're just such a superb team. Nick, let's fire up the randomizer and close this bad boy out. Ice chips. It's time for trivia, Nick.
I'm screwed.
This is trivia. This is where I can burn you.
Hold on. This is where we
bit.
both suck, though, as we figured out.
You're pretty good at, stumping me. I know what kind of is your wheelhouse and what definitely isn't your wheelhouse. I would say I've leaned more to the latter on this one. But let me explain the game here. We got 3 questions.
Kind of is my wheelhouse?
No, not your wheelhouse here. We're going not your wheelhouse.
Oh, crap.
But
I'm screwed.
so we're going to ask 3 questions. First question is supposed to be your easiest. Third question is supposed to be your hardest. First question's worth 1 point. Next is 2. Next is 3. Whichever host has the most points at the conclusion of the trivia round is today's winner, and we'll be taking home some lovely gifts. Nick, you want to lead off with your first question, or you want me to go?
I'll lead off.
All right. I'll see what I can do. Here we go.
All right, Ryan. We're going to the NWHL. All 3 of my questions are show related.
Okay.
NWHL announced all their awards this week. Who was the Rookie of the Week, Ryan? Or Rookie of the Week? Rookie of the Year, Ryan.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend, and I don't know the players. I do not know. You get the points on that one, Nick. I would not have a clue.
This is the easy question for a reason.
Yikes.
Who was the MVP, Ryan?
I don't know, Nick.
From the Toronto Six. You didn't see all the posts and everything?
Nope. I'm stumped on this one.
All right.
Can't
Michaela Grant Mentis was not only the Rookie of the Year, she also won MVP of the league.
And you know what? Perfect time for that, actually, because with the salary cap going up, here's someone that can get paid relative to the salary cap in the league, and let's start building around this player.
Yeah.
The game should be marketed, and it should be sold. This player won Rookie of the Year. This player was MVP of the league.
Not only that, she also won the NWHL Foundation Award, which is awarded to the player most actively applying the core values of hockey to her community, as well as growing and improving hockey culture. They give 1 per team. She won the Toronto Six Award.
You got to. This is a player.
That's a player you build around.
You build the league around at this point, like for next year. You know, this is a feature highlight player. Solid question to lead us off, Nick. I can't say my.
Sorry, I thought you might get that because she was MVP,
chance.
and you might just guess that.
Not
because you might have seen it.
I can't tell you I know any of the players in the NWHL. I know the team that won the championship. I know who they beat in the final. I know the 3 other teams in the league after those 2 teams, and that's about where my knowledge stops.
Okay,
on that
fair
league.
enough. I apologize. That's my fault. I should have made it a little bit easier.
It's
for you
my
for my
fault.
first question.
It's my fault for not having enough knowledge here. So, all right, Nick, the theme of my questions are the Oilers dynasty. The 5 Stanley Cup teams there. All right. Starting off with a player from that team. You may know. Within 5 assists, either way. What is the most assists that Wayne Gretzky had in a single regular season? So you can be off by 5 either way.
148.
Ooh, you did not cut the mustard there. He had 163 in one season. That's an NHL record. 163 assists. That's just assists. And that is in the 85-86 season, and that's the year where Steve Smith banked the puck off Grant Fuhr into his own net, and they lost to the Flames in Game 7. So I
thought 148 was a good answer.
It is a good answer, especially just in general, but for Wayne Gretzky, it wasn't enough. He needed 163. All right, Nick, question number 2.
Question number 2. So I told you my theme was today's show.
Yeah.
So we're going with Ryan Miller for the next question, Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan Miller, great goalie, played on the American national team.
Hell of a
bunch
name.
Of stuff. How many years was Ryan Miller voted an All-Star?
Ooh, good question. In the NHL.
Yes, in the NHL. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. I know he was
I have to specify. You're right.
I know he was an AHL All-Star. So how many, and we're talking about All-Star game or All-Star team at the end of the year?
All-Star, I believe it's team.
All-Star team at the end of the year.
Yeah.
First team or do you want like a tally of first and second team?
Tally of first and second.
I can't say I remember him appearing on those lists. I'm just talking it out. I might want to say 1 to cover my butt, but I feel like it's an anomaly question. So I want to say 0. I'm going to say 0, Nick. I have a feeling 0.
Go with your gut next time, dude. It was 1. He was named a first-team All-Star in 2009-2010. Ironically, if we had gone by All-Star games, the answer is still 1. He was only an All-Star 1 time in 2007.
And he played for the Buffalo Sabres.
Both of them.
Yeah, that may have been the reason why, though. He had time in Vancouver. Some of my greatest Miller memory is when he got involved in an altercation against the Leafs, and he wanted to fight Freddie Anderson. I was at that game, so that's why I remember that one. But that's another solid question. I did remember that he barely showed up in the All-Star nomination. So I'm trying to think, is he a Hall of Famer at this point? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he's a U.S.
He showed up in 4 All-Star nominations at the end of the year, but he was never higher than 6th, except for the year that he was first.
He's such a good goalie. Like,
that was the year that he won the Vezina, though.
He did win the Vezina. I forgot about that. So odd. Just solid goalie, though. Like a really, really good goalie.
Listen, when your career numbers are a .914 save percentage and a .263 goals against average in the last 21 years almost, I'd take those as pretty solid numbers, especially playing for the Buffalo Slugs.
Absolutely. Okay, here we go, Nick. Question number 2, going back to the Oilers dynasty. So
we suck right now, by the way. We need to get one answer right.
All right, you think really hard about this one. So name the teams that the Oilers have played in all 7. This kind of goes beyond the Stanley Cup final, the Stanley Cup dynasty. I was going to say density. That's not correct. Name the teams the Oilers have played in all 7 of the Stanley Cup finals they have appeared in. Nick, there are only 4 teams. They've been in 7 Stanley Cup finals. There are only 4
teams. Do I get 5
teams.
guesses?
Sure, I'll give you a free guess. Yeah, I'll give you a chance to be wrong. You get 5 guesses.
Okay. I want to say the Islanders.
Correct. They played the Islanders.
That's the easy answer. I'll take that one as we go.
They lost to the Islanders in 83, and then they beat them in 84.
They did. And I only know that because of my State of Sport series that I had to do for class.
There you go. Who else did the Oilers beat
In the
Stanley
finals,
Cup?
right?
Just in the final.
Okay.
There are
Because
three.
I want to say Calgary, but I know they didn't play Calgary in the final.
Yeah, those would have been all divisional matchups against Calgary. Yeah.
Because I know Calgary was good. They were good. They just weren't as good.
Do you remember the one from your lifetime? When the Oilers were in the final, do you remember the team they lost to in your
Carolina.
lifetime? There you go. You got two. I'm helping you along a bit.
Sorry, I was starting chronologically.
That's fine. Yeah. So there's two teams left, and these two teams that they beat combined for a total of 4 finals against the Oilers. They played each of them twice.
Pittsburgh?
They did not play Pittsburgh. There's
That's my throwaway.
That's
I
your
guess.
burner. Yeah.
I'm screwed now.
So I'll throw out a little hint here. You'll still get the full points. One of the teams that they played, they were game 4 in that team's building. Power goes out. They have to play game 4 back in Edmonton. Because it was an older building.
Doesn't mean anything.
No, I thought that would help you.
It doesn't. No, Ryan, it should help. It should. Just like my clue for the first question should have helped you.
Which teams?
It should help.
Which teams would have had older buildings?
Like, I want to say, here's the thing. There's 3 teams that I want to throw out there, and I don't know why I want to throw them out there. But, like, I think Boston.
Yes, Boston. That is the team that had the older building. And the team that's left, they played.
I literally just did this. I should know who they played.
In 85 and 87. 87, they went to 7 games with this team.
Okay, it's one of 2, so I'm going to give my answer, and I'm going to give the other answer. You're going to tell me if I would have got it on the other answer if I didn't get it on the first one. The first answer is Rangers.
No, they did not play the Rangers in the final.
Was it the freaking Detroit Red Wings?
They never played the Detroit Red Wings in the final.
I don't feel as bad then.
All right, Nick. I mean, I got
75% of a point.
I'll give you 1 out of the possible 2 points. That's fair. You got 3 of the teams. 3 of the 5 teams.
And I got the first 2 without messing up.
Yeah, so. You got the Islanders, you got Carolina, you got Boston with some hints. You did not get the Philadelphia Flyers. They beat the Philadelphia Flyers in 85 and 87. So, all right, you do get 1 point. So you're up 1-0 in our trivia challenge here. And now I have to answer your hardest question.
You have the hardest question.
At least it's
Ryan.
about today's show, hopefully.
Yes. So we've been talking. I said my thing is people from today's show.
Yep.
So Andrew Shaw is retiring.
Okay.
How many seasons did he have more penalty minutes than his career playoff total of 123 penalty minutes?
So how many seasons did he eclipse?
How many regular seasons
did he eclipse 123?
123.
Okay. And we're not using our Googlers, by the way, folks. I think
I had the only 2 pages I had up were Ryan Miller's hockey reference and Andrew Shaw. That's the only thing that I had on my computer.
All right. Well, he's 29 years old. I don't think he jumped.
So he played 10 years. I'll give you that.
Okay. So I have 10 possible 10. I'm going to say.
How many seasons did he have more than 123 penalty minutes?
Okay. I'm going to say in
it's
his
Andrew Shaw.
rookie year, he probably didn't do that. I'm going to say in recent years, what has he had? 2 back with the Hawks? He probably didn't do it.
2, yes.
Yeah. And then I think he played 2 with Montreal. So he probably did it the first year he was there, but not the second year. So I am going to say.
He was there for 3 years.
He was in Montreal for 3.
3 years.
Okay. I'm going to say there was 4 years that he didn't do it. So 6 years that he was over 123.
You're wrong.
Oh, I thought I could logically come up with that answer.
Yeah. He had 0.
He was never
He's never eclipsed. The highest he ever had was 110, and I would consider that an anomaly because the next highest is 76.
Wow, that is fantastic. You would think with the way that guy plays, that easily he'd be over 100 all the time. That's just like level of respect goes up for Andrew Shaw there to play the game he played. And
he was also 12th in Calder voting in his rookie year with 23 points in 37 games.
Wow. That is a fantastic question and a fantastic stat. Well done, Andrew Shaw. So I get shut out. You're winning regardless here, but we'll still go to the third question.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Let's make it quick. I'm not gonna drag this one out this time.
This is gonna be fun. Okay, I'm not even going to give you hints because you've already won, so I'm not helping you out here. There were 7 players that were on all 5 of the Stanley Cup winning teams for the Oilers. Okay?
Okay.
So let me give you those years: 84, 85, 87, 88, and 90. They won those Stanley Cups in those years: 84, 85, 87, 88, and 90. Can you name 5 of the 7 players who were part of all 5 of those championships?
The correct answer is no, I cannot.
Start throwing.
But I will try.
All right.
I get 7 guesses right now.
Sure, I'll give you 7 guesses. No problem. 7 guesses.
Still won't.
Because there's 2 of them that I'm guaranteeing you're not getting.
Gretzky.
Nope. He wasn't there for 1990.
Oh, he.
Okay, so we got 1 wrong.
Mess.
Yep, you got Messier.
Curry.
You got Curry.
Smith.
Not Smith. 2 wrong. 2 for 4.
Fuhr.
Fuhr, ding. Even though Rantford was in goal for that 1990 Cup final.
He's on the roster. I don't care.
He's on the roster.
Man.
You got 3 guys. You got 2 wrong so far.
Yeah, which means I can't get another one wrong. I have to get 2 more.
I believe the next 2 guys are Hockey Hall of Famers.
It still doesn't help me.
Nope. Okay.
It should. It should help me. It doesn't help me.
Okay, I believe these 2 guys went on to win the Stanley Cup with the Rangers in 94 as well.
With Mess?
With Messier, yeah.
One's a defenseman. I know that.
Correct, yes.
And I cannot put a name to it.
I mean, there's 2 defensemen as options here, but you're not going to get the other guy. So.
No, I'm saying about like the one that went to New York.
Yeah. Yes, he is. The other one's a forward.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Captain Obvious.
No problem. Scored, I think it was the series clinching goal in the 87 Game 7 against the Flyers. I know that helps you. That's a big clue. Because you're a classic games kind of guy.
Well, I have to watch these for that stupid series. I'm just gonna start.
Think about those Oilers. It's guys.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. All right, Glenn Anderson.
I got nothing.
Glenn Anderson.
Okay. I was honestly about to just say Anderson because I know there's so many Andersons that's played in the league. I might be. You might think I'm thinking the right guy.
Is that why you said Smith?
I was this close to doing that, but I didn't. I will keep the integrity of the game.
Is that why you said Smith?
No, I knew there was a Smith on Edmonton.
Steve
I wasn't
Smith.
sure if there was one on I wasn't sure if there was an Anderson.
That would have been top notch if you were just like Smith, Anderson, Jones.
I knew there was a Smith. I was not 100% sure.
All right, the other. So you got Messier, you got Fury, you got Curry. Glenn Anderson was the other player. Kevin Lowe was one of the players.
See, that was the guy that I was trying to think of, and I could not put a name to.
Those are the 2 guys that also won with the Rangers. Charlie Huddy. Is that a name you would have known?
Huddy, I recognize the name. I would not have guessed it.
And this is a name that I never would have gotten. Randy Gregg. I know I can see the jersey skating around out there, but yeah, I would never got that. So there you go. Those were the 7 players that were on all 5 Edmonton Oilers Cup winning teams.
Did I get 1 out of 3 points on that?
You won the game 1-0, and I can't give you. I'm just because I have a cold, dead black heart. I'm not giving you any points on that final question because it's supposed to be the hardest one. You still won 1-0. All right, that was the horn that brings an end to this 20 Minutes on Ice. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast from. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button for the Garage Door Sports Network and hit the thumbs up button. Give us a like on the video. That really helps us out. You can follow me on Twitter at Ryan_H16. Follow Nick at Nick McVicker. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at 20 Minutes on Ice. Then head on over to garagedoorsports.com. Find our show and all the other network shows under the shows tab. We will be back next week with more 20 Minutes. Until then, thank you for listening. Goodbye, everybody.